come and join us.
Switching up the couches.
It's like the Friends couch here.
Thank
I didn't
you.
know where they were going to put it. Okay, so let's start. We've got you guys have big news this week. Let's start with the news at your company.
Sure.
You just announced a big new initiative, which really is about connecting content creators with those in need of video. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Vimeo is a community of 150 million creators and businesses and brands who are all looking to make video. And one of the biggest things that we've heard is video is hard. And what we launched yesterday actually is a new video production marketplace where anyone can find and hire creatives from our community to help them make great video. So it's called For Hire, and if you go to Vimeo.com, you can search for, talent, whether they're filmmakers or animators or editors. You can post jobs based on your needs, based on your budget, what kind of video you're trying to make, and we will help connect you with creators all around the world. And this is a really strategic and important investment for us because we really exist to enable anyone to be successful with professional video. And we do have a massive and extremely talented community of people who are ready and eager to help. And the number one issue that we hear from businesses, brands, marketers is that they need help. Actually, I think one stat we heard from our community is over 80% of video content that's sourced today happens through word of mouth. So through your informal networks or reaching out to someone you know. And that's really inefficient and time consuming. And so this launch is really designed to remove that friction and lower those barriers.
So one of the things when I saw the launch, I was like, oh, that's going to be a great revenue driver for Vimeo. It's not for revenue. There's no cut you're taking. Talk me through that decision.
Yeah, so anyone can search and post for free. We don't take a commission, which is pretty rare for marketplaces. And the reason that we made that decision is our business model isn't about marketplaces. We're actually a subscription service, like software as a service platform, similar to a Dropbox or a Zoom or a Slack. So we enable people to use our products for free, and then if they want to unlock certain features and capabilities, they sign up for an annual subscription. And so what that means is our business model is really about building long-term relationships with our users. And so rather than think of this as a way to get additional revenue, this is actually really just about encouraging more people to find value in video and to find engagement and utility from our platform.
Is it really to get people sticky on the platform, to stay there, and then in the hope that they become those subscription?
Yeah, those subscribers. Yeah, I think it's absolutely, it's about engagement. The more videos you're making, the more you'll find value in our other tools. And then if you're already a user, an active user, we want you to stay and we want you to be successful with video. And so if we can make that easier, that is good for our business.
So you mentioned the business model a couple of times, and I'm fascinated because your company really does differ from a lot of the other video platforms where there's no part of the revenue that is ad-based. Is that a position that you are going to stand by going forward? And if the answer to that is yes, is diversification of your business model important? Like what's the future path for growth and revenue for Vimeo?
Yeah, so Vimeo is an ad-free platform, and we will be keeping it that way. So unlike other video platforms, Facebook, YouTube, etc., we don't make money from advertising. And we do have quite a different approach. So those platforms are really viewing destinations. They're where you go to watch video. Well, a couple of years ago, when I stepped in as CEO, we changed Vimeo's strategy to really focus on not the audience, but the people behind the camera, and giving them tools to succeed. And being ad-free is actually incredibly important for that. I'll give you a specific example. For years, for over a decade, YouTube has been Vimeo's biggest competitor. And we now, because we aren't focused on ads and we don't need to grow an audience on the platform, and our mission is to help you succeed with video, we actually now partner with YouTube, and we built tools that help our users with one click natively distribute their content to YouTube, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Twitter. And so we can be agnostic in trying to help you find your audience all over the internet, because we're not actually compelled to keep you on the platform. You know, my team isn't optimizing for eyeballs because we're not monetizing those views with ad dollars. And so that's actually a really powerful strategic advantage that we have. And we certainly, you know, don't want to give that up. It's also really important to our community. They really value a clean, professional, and uncluttered experience.
So is the future 100% subscriptions, or is there other places you're looking to grow?
We are focused 100% on a SaaS strategy, and we think that that market is huge. I mean, you know, it used to be that the people making professional video were Hollywood studios or AV professionals or filmmakers. And the reality is today, every business, every marketing department, every social media manager needs to be making video. Every CEO of a global company that's communicating with their employees needs to be live streaming their all hands. Every training and onboarding should be video. And so, you know, what we believe is the market for and the need for professional quality video is massive. It's early, it's just getting started. And so we're very happy to kind of stay the course with our model.
Do you get very excited when a new phone comes out from Apple, or somebody has a new phone and it's got the best camera out there? Does that encourage more people to use your service? Because we have, you know, the new Apple 11 that's out this week, and I had a look at the 3 cameras in the back.
It's amazing.
Right? And one of the things when I saw it was like, ahead of this conversation, I thought, I can't imagine that there won't be people that get that in their hand and say, I can make professional Vimeo videos.
Look, I think any technology or innovation that lowers the barriers to quality storytelling is good for our industry, and it's good for Vimeo. And so I think the Apple iPhone is a great example of that, and there are many others. And we really do think of it as an ecosystem. And so the more, as I said, the more that people are encouraged to actually make video, and they can see the value of using video to communicate in more effective and engaging ways, the better. You know, one of the most interesting stats that we see is, so increasingly on the Vimeo platform, we see that the videos uploaded are shorter. They're getting shorter and shorter. And they're more and more optimized for social media. And we know that social media platforms prioritize video in their news feeds. The stat that Facebook shared was that the average video gets 75% of all the views it will ever get in the first 4 days that it's posted. So what does that mean? It means that if you want to have a social media strategy, you now have to be making videos every 4 days, at least. And so, you know, the demand from our audiences and our customers is just increasing. Everyone wants more video content. They expect it to be high quality, sort of Netflix quality. And it's the supply that's the challenge. And so that's really what we're here to fix.
What in the video world surprises you in terms of performs really well? Or since you've taken over this role, I think I'll give an example of what I'm getting at. I was at a conference maybe about 2 years ago, and it was the head of Netflix was there, and I said, what surprises you that people spend a lot of time watching? And he was like, Hallmark Christmas movies. Like, people spend a ridiculous amount of time watching Hallmark Christmas movies. Is there anything on your platform that surprises you in terms of types of videos that do really well for people?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a great question. It really depends on what you're looking for, but some of the trends I think are really interesting that are happening right now. Obviously, one is video is getting more immersive and real time, right? So, and there's a lot of talk about AR and VR, and you know, we launched 360 video tools. But the truth is that the capability of video now is becoming pretty compelling. And you know, I've seen so many interesting use cases in the fashion industry, for example, you know, using video and the fact that it can be 360 to actually help bring to life products that, you know, if you're moving to a digital transition and you know, you're not selling your products in brick and mortar, you don't have something physical in your hand, how do you use video to bring that to life? I think that's a great example.
And you talked about that interaction. strategically invested in live stream in 2017. How has that been for you? How have you folded that into the company, and what difference does that make to the overall company?
So live video is one of the fastest growing formats on social media and absolutely among our community in Vimeo. And I think what's interesting about it is for so long you had to be basically a TV studio, or you had to be running a conference of this scale to effectively live stream. And what we see now is really every school, church, nonprofit is using live streaming to connect with their communities. Think of if you're a parent and you're missing your kid's local soccer game, or you're part of a religious organization and you miss the Sunday service. And so what's fascinating is you just all of these examples that you wouldn't have thought about that you would think a media company can do or a big organization can do. Now everyone's doing. And so we continue to invest very heavily in new tools that make that easier. And I think you're just going to see it continue. Another interesting trend is more and more for large organizations, our workforces are becoming remote, right? Millennials tend to want to work from home more. People need more flexibility. And so when your teams are remote, the use of live video internally to be productive and communicate with each other becomes valuable as well. So I would say just across the board, we expect live will continue to be a very fast-growing format.
So let's talk about some of the challenges. This week we saw Facebook and a few other video platforms come out and commit with the New Zealand Prime Minister to tackle online extremism on their platforms. Yours is a different platform, but let's talk about that challenge of when you're opening the keys to the kingdom. How do you moderate? How do you decide this can go on the platform, but this is not okay? This is hate speech. This is not. What's your strategy? And can you give us some insight to the challenges for a CEO of a big video platform in this world?
It is challenging. It's also incredibly important. So user safety is our #1 priority for Vimeo, and my perspective is for any open platform that has user-generated content, it is absolutely a responsibility that goes far beyond just your shareholders that you are responsible for. And I think that onus is on the platform. I also think that more scrutiny and checks and balances are appropriate and needed. But at Vimeo, we do invest quite heavily. We have a global trust and safety team. They do everything from manually reviewing accounts. We invest in a bunch of different tools and systems and processes to be able to moderate content. We remove a large volume of accounts every month
what
that
types
violate
of
our
things are you
guidelines.
removing them for? What are the things that are breaking the rules?
For a long time, we've always banned discriminatory and hateful content. You're right that there's always a question of how you sort of define that. And for us, it's about being consistent and transparent and making sure we have sort of the right process that avoids bias. So that content has always been sort of banned on Vimeo. But the reality is the world is changing. The kinds of information that's going out there, they're changing, and so we also must adapt. And so we do look at our guidelines and we think about changing them all the time. In fact, most recently, we took a stronger stance on content that can create real-world harm, which in our definitions include things like content that falsely claims that mass tragedies are hoaxes, content that spreads misinformation about topics like vaccine safety, content that depicts self-harm, and always when you're making those decisions, it is a decision, and it has an impact.
Come across your desk, like do they come up to your desk and it's like you need to make the ultimate call on this?
They do. it's never good. You never want to have a decision like that come from just a person. So we have a process, we have teams, we have a variety of different influences that we make sure kind of hold us to consistent standards. But yeah, I mean, those are the types of decisions you have to make. And you know, for us, every business is different. But for us, again, we're not ad supported. We don't exist to, you know, maximize virality, right? So we don't want false news on our platform. It doesn't benefit us in any way. We don't make money from any of those views. And so for us, you know, we really care about ensuring a positive and safe community for our users. And so we're willing to make the calls when we believe that the content can be harmful. And frankly, for me, that's a fairly easy decision.
So I want to pivot a little bit to you. You took over as CEO at 34. How was that transition? Because you were already in the company, and tell us a little bit about your leadership style.
So yeah, I mean, 2 years ago I became CEO at 34. It was not something I ever planned. I came to Vimeo as a director of marketing, a team of 5, and you know, a few years later, I was promoted to CEO, overseeing this global platform with hundreds of millions of users and hundreds of teams around the world. And in many ways, my journey really was because I believed in this sort of SaaS strategy. And at the time, it wasn't our strategy. We were actually investing in original content to try and compete with Netflix. And so I was sort of looking where no one else was looking, I guess. And I was really passionate about the strategy. And so because of that championing, I eventually was given the opportunity to run the company and to make that strategy the company's strategy. So it was a unique experience. You know, I went from people, you know, the people I reported to, I was suddenly their boss.
That's a hard move.
Yeah. But you know, I'll tell you, it's one. I actually, being at the company for a while, it actually eased my transition because I knew the business, I knew our users, I cared passionately, and I had so much conviction, you know, that the strategy was the right one. And I was championing something that many people internally were excited and believed in. You know, and so ultimately, it was actually not as hard a transition as you can imagine. What I will say is I learned some really important lessons, which are, you know, treat the people you work with well, build real, authentic relationships, because I never would have been able to successfully step into that role and transition if I hadn't sort of had the trust and the respect of so many people. And I never, you know, it wasn't an explicit thing, but I look back at every interaction that I had, and I realize that it's those interactions that allowed me to be where I am.
What's your favorite thing about the job?
It's a cheesy answer, but it is the team.
That's okay.
It's the team. I'm obviously biased, but I love our team. I love the culture, and it's not a reflection of me. I've grown up in that culture. But what I think is awesome about Vimeo is that it's a very mission-driven company, and people really believe in what we're doing, and we get to see it. You know, you get to see the feedback of the stories that are being told on the platform every day. You get to hear from users about how they're able to earn a living, to, you know, pursue their craft and achieve their dreams using video, and it's a really powerful thing, but I just think the passion on the team is amazing. And I think the other thing that I love is just we're in an industry that's changing so fast, and we're just at the beginning, and there's going to be tons of innovation, and that's fun. It's intellectually challenging, and it gives us opportunities to experiment. And so I wake up every day, and I am really thrilled and excited to go to my job.
So to that point, and as the last question, when everybody else is pivoting to video, right, and that's the conversation lots of people are having, what does a company that started pure as a video play, what are the next steps? We talked a little bit about live streaming. What are the next frontiers for you as a video-led company to really get your hand around?
So I think, you know, as I said, our focus is on empowering anyone to succeed with professional video. One of the areas that we're really thinking about are businesses, and in particular small businesses, entrepreneurs. You know, I think of it as 10 years ago, the idea that every coffee shop and restaurant could have a website was kind of crazy. You know, you'd have to hire a team of engineers and it would take you 6 months. And then all these companies came along and technology lowered those barriers, and now you can have a website in an hour. And so we think the same way about video, which is everyone, no matter what size their company or whatever message they want to put out there, should be able to have a successful online video strategy. And how is Vimeo in a couple years going to make that so easy? And so we're investing in things like, how can we use artificial intelligence to help give you suggestions on how to make better video? How do we leverage mobile apps and editing tools and our community to give you inspiration and ideas and actually make that content for you in a very quick and rapid way, while also elevating the quality of your stories. So you're going to see, I think, over the next couple years, us continue to just push and push in terms of using technology, using the community, and using data to make it so that hopefully in a couple years, we can all feel it's just as easy to have a video strategy as it is to have a website.
Anjali Sud, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
you.